fighting a cold right now, and I normally don't sound like Kermit the Frog during puberty. So, Jay Paidipati with Navigate. I'm going to talk about emerging technology, realizing the dream. What I mean by emerging technologies is after R&D, but not yet to commercialization. And so you may think of a lot of things, but public policymakers, when they think of emerging technologies, think of a lot of things, including huge demand reduction, huge opportunity, creating tons of jobs, sponsoring innovation, helping create jobs in the local economy, maybe even manufacturing. And it creates some public policies, including state emerging technology policies, helping entrepreneurs with creative laboratories, mandating utility targets such that they have to get a certain amount of their energy from emerging technologies, and in, public funding for R&D through the Department of Energy. So investors, they also see great things. They see huge opportunity, maybe early stage investment where you can get a high return on equity, potentially new markets to get into, public funding that I talked about on the earlier slide. And this creates roughly $5 billion a year investment. Sounds great. Sounds really great. Tons of money, things are happening, people are happy. But here's what really happens. It takes a while to happen. Everybody's sad. Why? Because the size of the opportunity is not as big as everybody hoped it would be. Companies are frustrated. Utilities are not interested in the technologies. She's crying. It's really rough. So the question you have to ask is, what's the problem? It sounds pretty grim. Why even start a company like the next presenters are going to talk about? So there's two problems. The first, classic, is time, which clearly I didn't work on with this presentation. The utility emerging technology process takes too long. It takes too long for investors, for the utilities to look at a technology, decide they want to sponsor it, decide they want to be involved with it. Second problem is still time. But utilities, the entrepreneurs see the utility process as a hindrance. It's a brick wall. They think that it takes too long for the utilities to evaluate technologies. They don't understand how utilities evaluate technologies, what's their process for deciding if something's good or bad. So then they don't, the utility doesn't get involved, they don't get a rebate, the technology doesn't take off the ground. So why does this happen? There's a couple of reasons, all of which are fixable, which is the good news. First reason is risk. Utilities have a pretty low level of risk tolerance, and entrepreneurs and their investors and technology developers are willing to take a lot higher risk. So as you might imagine, it's like a venture capitalist talking to a commercial banker. They don't talk the same language. So in addition to levels of risk, there's also a type of risk. Entrepreneurs take technical risk with the new technology, financial risk, putting money up front with a technology that might not be proven. Whereas utilities, they have a different view of risk. They are more concerned about ticking off their customers, potentially regulatory risk. If the emerging technology they pick doesn't pan out, their customer is going to complain to the Public Utility Commission. So very different spectrum that they're looking at their risks with regards to. Another problem, which I mentioned before and still seems to be happening, is time. Entrepreneurs and technology developers want their technology to be commercialized yesterday. They want to make their money. They want to get their return on investment back. They just want it to happen soon. Whereas utilities, as you might imagine, don't move quite that fast. Anybody who's tried to work with them. And but with regards to emerging technologies, they operate on a multi-year timeline driven by program cycles. So if they can get an emerging technology in the next program cycle 4 years from now, they did a great job. But that venture capitalist needs to make their money back really quickly. So we've got some problems. How can they be fixed? There's a couple of solutions. We've some colleagues of mine that we've noticed over time. The first being educating each other on the risks. So if utilities talked about, well, these are my problems, and the investor talked about, well, these are my problems, and they developed a common language, what does emerging technology even mean to different groups that might help enhance the transparency and move the process along? Second is the actual transparency of the process. I was at a meeting last week in California, and the utility showed their emerging technology map it was an ugly, ugly picture of lines everywhere, and it looked terrible. If they were to actually talk about, this is what we do, this is the risk we take. The third area is time. This is a classic for the nerds in the room. This is a market diffusion curve. Things take time. So it depends where you are, but things take time. And last, if utilities and entrepreneurs were to collaborate early on, especially with respect to sharing risks, recruiting customers to deploy emerging technologies, and to share their data and share goals, maybe everybody would be happy. Thank you.